Ichigo awakens by the Lodge in Chapter 32, Ichigo's first mission. Ichigo's first mission. Flashback 1 week in Society, Squad 4 Barracks. Ichigo stared at the three captains before him in shock. He'd understood restraining his power somewhat back because it was as wild as Saraki's, but completely sealing it off where they shut him out of the fight. He spent his entire life training just for the war against Yuba. They can't just take that away. That was when Tessai pulled out the monitor and Urahara held up a pointer. You see, Ichigo, he started as an image of a human body doing a various exercise scheme up. You're already aware of the relationship of spiritual energy and physical limits, so I'll keep it brief. He began pointing to the diagram. The spirit grows the spirit grows from desires, such as to survive, while the body grows from physical work. The diagram changed to a regular figure, then one with flared Ryatsu. The body serves as a container for spiritual power and grows in tandem to the spirit as both grow. Because you've trained your body so hard, you were able to release a greater amount of your Ryatsu. It matched several lieutenants that would normally have the advantage. Your physical body was able to contain the power. The diagram changed again to include a figure with Ryatsu that was like an inferno going into a normal body. However, after training with Zaraki like that, Yoryotsu is now going to shoot your control to hell. Yet again, like picking up a single grain of sand going with a backhoe, or killing an ant with a hoster. He pointed to at a diagram. Now, compare your Yotsu to water and your physical body to a balloon. What happens when you put too much water in? He played the diagram, and the figure with Ryatsu exploded. Ichigo winced as the thought of that happening to him. And so we're back to square one with your Ryatsu control. Just when we finally thought we taught you finesse. Except from now on, Commander Yamamoto will be training you. Ishin told his son. I see, Ichigo said as he bowed before the ancient captain. I look forward to your lesson, Sensei. Yamamoto let out a snort of nostalgia, hearing a new student calling him sensei for the first time in centuries. So for now, let's apply the first two seals. Ichigo, take off your shirt, Urahara said as Ishin and Yamamoto raised a calligraphy brush with a glowing white ink. Ichigo removed his shirt and stood still as the two captains drew their squad's insignias after a brief flash of light. Ichigo felt much weaker, but not powerless. More like when he invaded society, but saving Rukia. And that should allow you to continue on with your life while serving your station. My station? Ichigo asked, seeing his dad pull out a wooden lieutenant's badge with the number 15 and Higadama insignia before handing it to him. Welcome to Squad 15, Lieutenant Kurosaki, his dad said with a grin. Ichigo looked at the badge with a sense of pride before remembering something. Wait, you said you had to completely seal my powers, Ichigo pointed out. Why, if this is enough for me to do my duties? Because there's someone we want you to find. A sickly, tired voice said from behind the hybrid. The first human to gain Shinigami powers, Kugo Ginjo. The Jugo Utakata walked into the room. He was the reason why it's a crime for a Soul Reaper to give a human their powers. Ginjo got his powers from a Soul Reaper and proved helpful to our cause as a substitute Soul Reaper. However, it was soon discovered that he killed many other Soul Reapers to steal the powers as well. We didn't start monitoring him with these until after we discovered Shinigami begin to disappear. He said, holding up a small wooden amulet with the skull engraving. His greed for power made him a murderer, and when he found out we were watching him, he fled as fast as he could. According to the bug I planted on chat, Ginjo has already met with him, Urahara said, and they know of you, Ichigo, hence why we need to seal your powers completely, to let him think you foster hate towards society and possibly even join him. Your first mission, Lieutenant Kurosaki, is to bring in Kucho Ginjo, Yamamoto said. We'll use the Squad 11 still since Araki considers you a part of his squad, he said while they repeated the ritual. Present-day Naruki City, above execution headquarters. Ichigo floated in the air across from the power stealer that set the president of the Soul Reaper powers to humans. Ginjo looked at Ichigo with disgust, embarrassed that he'd either had hope for the hybrid. The other Probringers looked scared, worried about how they'll escape. Though Giriko looked at his pocket watch, he had to play this to his advantage. And I thought I was the real villain, he said, keeping Ichigo's focus on him. You brought all the Shinigami here and you said you weren't followed. You said you'd help us free us from our fear, and here we are, surrounded and betrayed, waiting for your execution order. I never lied once since I met you, Ichigo pointed out. I never said we weren't followed. Chad did. I said I would free you of your curse of fear, and I am. He grabbed his blade and changed it to a massive cleaver, now in the form of a trench knife with a length of chain at the hill's base. The Fullbringers are of no concern to Soul Society, he said, making all the Fullbringers present react in shock. At the moment, they have not done anything to threaten innocent souls, and seem to only threaten other Fullbringers and Soul Reapers. But you're the only one that's killed any. They are not accessories to your crimes. Cut the crap, Ginjo growled. Soul Society would never do that. The old Soul Society wouldn't, Ichigo agreed. But the threat of a looming war encourages change and development in order to prepare. Uryu and Fullbringers. Is that true? Riruka asked as they were brought before the council. Society won't come after us. She was hopeful, while most of the others Fullbringers were held at sword point by the various Soul Reapers around them. Yukio, and Giriko were separated from their respective Fullbringers after a quick observation from Uryu made him guess what they were. There are two wars coming for Soul Society that will threaten the world of the living and the dead. Both are considered enough of a threat that the Soul Society is willing to change thousands of years of law and customs, Uryu explained while a couple of Shinigami helped Chad and Jackie up on the building. Third seat Ishida. These two are injured, one of the Soul Reapers said. What should we do? Heal them both, Uryu said quickly, and that man is going to be our squad's fourth soldier. They nodded at their orders and began applying their healing keto. So, yeah, you're only being held captive because we don't want you getting involved. That Tsukishima guy managed to slip through, but we'd rather avoid senseless killing. So, when everything's done, you can run along and live your lives. What are our other options? Giriko boldly asked, feeling a Sanpakuto press against his throat a little harder. You keep causing trouble, and I'll kill you, Uryu said without hesitation, summoning up a solid black bow. Or you join us, get access to the capabilities of Soul Society, and possibly improve your abilities or find more of your kind. You have a few doors open to you, he said before turning back to Ichigo. Ginjo has two. Go with Ichigo willingly, or the hard way. Ichigo versus Ginjo. So yeah, Ichigo said after giving a similar explanation Uryu gave. They're free to go. You have to pay for your crimes. The former substitute glared at the one he thought would be a victim of society's lies. You can either come along willingly, or we do this the hard way. How can you be so willing to side with them? Ginjo growled, sparing a glance at Tsukishima to make sure he was ready to move. I sided with them, and they betrayed me. I will repeat this, Ginjo Kugo. You are under arrest for the murder of several Shinigami and the theft of their powers, Ichigo stated. Normally, Soul Society would be absurd and draconic in their laws, but this is where I side with them. You've murdered and stole lives and powers. What world do you live in that you think you wouldn't be watched? He leveled his blade at Ginjo. Now are we going to do this the easy way or the hard way? Ginjo scoffed. What makes you think you can beat? He started before Ichigo appeared right in front of him and dug a clawed hand around Ginjo's heart. This for starters, Ichigo stated, his left hand coated in his hollow armor, wiggling his fingers and lightly brushing against Ginjo's beating heart. Tsukishima acted as fast as he could. When the reality of what he saw caught up to him, he charged at Ichigo's back, preparing to cut through the hybrid. Ichigo sensed the killing intent and dodged each strike, finally flipping Ginjo around and kicking him into Tsukishima while pulling his claws out of the renegade in the process. This will not end well for you. Is he really worth your life? I owe him my life, Tsukishima said as the Fullbringers prepared for the next bout. Ichigo let out a saddened sigh. I really don't want to do this, Ichigo muttered before raising his free hand, summoning a small black and red bow. I'll try to make this painless, he said, behind Tsukishima, who turned to, he said, before several rapid shots at the two, causing them to separate. He flash stepped behind Tsukishima, who turned to try to slash at the hybrid. Ichigo blocked and placed his index finger on top of the opponent's heart. Ichigo's memories flashed to a lesson about how strength and application were important to Kido skills. How to 1. Show he whispered as he sent a kinetic pulse through the Fullbringer's chest. The man's eyes widened as he felt his heart pause. Ichigo charged a zero at the tip of his blade and pointed it at Ginjo, who was charging with energy flaring from his sword. Ichigo fired at Ginjo, who struggled against the torrent of energy. The blast ended and Ichigo threw the dying Tsukishima and the former Soul Reaper. Damn it! Kugo cursed as he tried to resuscitate his ally. How did he get so strong? Tsukushima gasped as Ginjo's pounding managed to restart his friend's heart. He won't beat me, he growled as he heard a familiar incantation. With light, divide this into 6. Bakudo 61, Rikujo Koro. Ichigo chanted from above the Fullbringers, trapping them together in the paralysis spell. There, that should do it, Ichigo said as he walked away from the struggling Fullbringers. Take them to the Shoten and prepare to transfer them to Soul Society. The more focused Soul Reapers proceeded with their orders, while some of the younger ones annoyed Uryu. Lieutenant Kurosaki is so cool, the guy restraining Ryuko said. He's not that great, she mumbled while blushing. You're totally crushing on him, Tsundere, Yu-Gi-Oh said, making the magenta girl glare at the other Fullbringer. He might want to watch his back, Jiriko said as Tsukishima and Ginjo broke out of the kid's spell and charged at Ichigo. He charged his power and swung a massive Getsuga Tensho at the charging duo. Never mind, he said in awe of the raw power, watching the outline of his two former comrades fade into nothingness. Scratch that, Ichigo called out. Send a message to Captain Love and the 14th Division. Give them a description of the two. He sheathed his weapon and joined Uryu and the remaining members of Execution. What are their call? What's the call? I've got a company to run, so I'll bail, Yukio said as the Shinigami released them. I would, however, be willing to make a few business deals if they interest me. I think I want to join you, Riruka said, looking away from Ichigo. I've always been selfish with my powers, but if I can help you guys with your war, she faced Ichigo with full confidence and stars in her eyes, then I can get access to even more cute things to love, she proudly announced, making everyone else sweat drop at her declaration. Ichigo merely shrugged. Yes, well, I think I'll join as well, Gilko stated, merely because this seems interesting. Very well, Ichigo said. I take Yukio to a bus stop and let him return to his company. Everyone else, back to the Shoten. I need to head home, Ichigo said as he grabbed his body and flash stepped away. Kurosaki household. Ichigo made his way back inside his house, silently and melancholic. The thought of his actions with Tsukishima and Ginjo kept replaying in his mind. He thought to restrain them, take them in alive, then he would just wipe them both out with ease. Killing the two of them was like swatting a fly, and he just barely kept everything together as he made his way home to report to his father and captain. He opened up the door to see his family already sitting around the table, enjoying dinner. Oni-chan, come on, Uzu called out. Mom and I made dinner. It's really good. Ichigo smiled just slightly before heading upstairs. I'm not hungry. I'm going to bed early, he said as he began to ascend the stairs. Mission accomplished, Dad. Ginjo was sent to Soul Society, he called before entering his room. It's not healthy to skip dinner, Yuzu said, pouting. Masaki and Ishin spared a glance of silent conversation, guessing what's happened. Stop, Yuzu, Ishin ordered as Yuzu got up. Leave your brother alone for now. Let Mom and Dad handle this. Yes, Masaki said, petting her daughter's head. You can just leave this to the parents. There's just some things that we need to do. Yuzu gave in, but still made a plate of leftovers for her brother. A few hours passed by before Ishin made his way into Ichigo's room. He found his son lying on the bed, shaking. Hey, son, he said softly with Ichigo back to him. I heard the report from one of the SWAT members. Looks like Ginjo wanted to do things the hard way. Masaki came in silently, watching the exchange between her husband and son. Ichigo, tell me how it feels. How it feels? Ichigo said through shaky breaths. Dad, I just killed 2 people. I was barely able to function through the shock of the experience. It was easy. He turned to face his father. I could have bound them better, used the stronger spell, and I killed them while I was stepping on an ant. He snapped, grasping on his head. I thought, what's happening to me? He started screaming before Ichigo felt himself get wrapped in a warm embrace as his parents held him. Ichigo, we never wanted you to be a killer, Ishin told his son. We trained you to be able to stop anything, and you did. You stopped yourself and your team from getting hurt. You managed to rescue and give most of the Fullbringers a chance they can use to better their lives. You did what you've always done. You protected. And if it ever gets too hard, just come back home, Masaki said, stroking her child's hair. We'll always have a place for you with us, so just let it out if you need to. Ichigo felt his arms weakly wrap around his parents. There's no need to hold back in front of us. Once again, Ichigo was reduced to a crying child in his mother's embrace. Remember this feeling, Ichigo, Ishin said. Remember the pain of taking a life. Pray that it never turns into a pleasure. That is when you've lost who you are. Ichigo swore that he would never forget that feeling for as long as he existed. Soul Society, Shiba household. They waited another week for Ichigo to recover from his first mission and the first kill. Chad recovered and joined as the fourth seat of the squad, with Tatsuki as the fifth and Orihime as the sixth. They received a report from Ganju that after a few days, they've managed to find Ginjo's and Tsukishima's souls in the Ruken district and have already transported them to the Maggot's Nest. They can be released, but only when they were willing to cooperate. The Fullbringers that have joined the society went to the R&D department under the supervision of Kisuke Urahara, already testing the true capability of the Fullbringer abilities, beginning with seeing if Chad's coin medallion was a Fullbringer. Tatsuki made her way to a second division barracks to get some training in with Soifun and Yoruichi. Orihime headed for the fourth to learn some more medical skills from Urahara. Uryu had her weirdest encounter though. Just as they came out of the Seketomen, they headed for the Shiba house. The former lieutenant of the 12th squad, Nemu Kurotsuchi, was waiting in a light blue sundress. Hello, Uryu, she said, walking up to the Quincy's third seat. Come with me. We're having a date. She then grabbed his hand and started pulling him away. Wait, what? What's happening? Would you try to yell as Nemu dragged him away? I did not agree to this, he continued to protest as he faded from sight. Okay, shall we go? Ichigo asked his family, already heading for the Shiba house. Shouldn't we be worried about Uryuni? Karin asked as the rest of them started walking away. You'll love them, Mom. Yuzu cheered. They're all as upbeat, as funny as Dad. They sound like a lot of fun, Yuzu, Masaki said with a smile. Yeah, Kurosaki family trip, Ishin yelled out unashamed in his Heori. Karin just shrugged and joined them. A few days of the presence of the 14th Division showed at a level of economic expansion in the West Rukon district. Houses were repaired, more stores and vendors, better dressed citizens. Plenty of people were still wary of Soul Reapers, but the Kurosaki family were welcomed as honored guests. Before long, they made it back to the Shiba house, showing a greater level of wealth as the main economic center for most of West Rukon. So this is that wonderful wife, Masaki, huh? Kukaku asked as she looked over the Quincy. I like her. Welcome to the family, Masaki Obasan. She smiled as she patted the woman on her shoulder. Speaking of family, hey Ichigo, the clan head called out to the hybrid. You talked to Byakuya yet? Not yet, Ichigo answered. Why? Is it important? I should hope so, Kukaku responded. It's your marriage after all. Everyone froze. You really should have talked to him. Illustrated Guide to Soul Reapers. Who's in control? Alternate version of meeting and prelude to change. Night had fallen. Most of the Soul Society was asleep now, resting and recovering from the events from earlier that day. All but the unlucky groups pulling night patrols, the captains that would determine the future of the coming war, and the hybrid that seemed to be at the center of all of it. They all stood in attendance, the captains flanking down both sides, with Genyuasa at the head and Ichigo in the center. There are many questions to ask, Ichigo. Yamamoto started, but very little time to get any answers. So for now, only the necessary ones. Are you in complete control? Ichigo blinked a couple times. I don't know. He turned to the side as a lean, pale figure with a skull mask and long, sharp horns appeared next to him. Hisankensu, am I in control? Why the hell are you asking me? He asked deadpan as most of the simple captains started freaking out. Saraki was excited. Soifun looked like she was having a heart attack. Gyuraku and Utukata were laughing at someone joking with their old master, and Mayuri looked like he creamed himself. I'm too old for this, Yamamoto thought tiredly. We looked at the R&D. You seem to have severe myopia. Urahara said, scanning her eyes. Shouldn't you wear glasses or contacts? Glasses aren't cute and contacts dry my eyes out. Iruruka scoffed. Urahara merely shrugged at the inconvenience. Next option, he turned to his lieutenant who was busy looking at Ichigo's severed limb under a microscope. My duty, where do we keep the spare eyes? He yelled, making Ruka jump. Third storage closet labeled replacement organs, Mayuri responded quickly. The good eyes. Fifth closet labeled freshly grown. Any presents, any preference, Dokugama-san? Riruka looked at him like he was insane before trying to throw him off. How about pink ones that get heart-shaped pupils when I'm happy? She said with a snarky attitude. Give me a minute, Mayuri said as he got up. I'll wear glasses, she screamed when she saw Urahara hold up a scalpel. End of chapter 32.